excited to provide this opportunity for you and feel like it's a great service that we can offer to potential sellers and people who are just interested in real estate. So I think the first thing that we're going to talk about is pretty obvious. First impressions are key, but the one thing I want to point out is that you do not get a second chance to make a first impression. So being prepared inside and out from the time you put your home on the market is key, because you will lose people very quickly if not. So that's kind of the thing, that everything, is not always going to be perfect, because if we go to the next one, we all live in our homes. And so therefore, when you're selling a home, you kind of have two choices. So Michael, if you'll go to the next slide, please. We all have two choices. One is you can either be selling the home vacant, or you can sell the home furnished with your personal items in it. Now, if you listen to a lot of the national TV shows, they're going to tell you it should always be staged, take all your personal pictures down and all of that kind of thing. I've been a realtor for 27 years, and I'm not a strong believer in that philosophy. But what I do understand is whether your home is furnished or vacant, it needs to be in the best condition that it can, cosmetically and clean and ready to show. We live in the real world. So, but what we do know is that buyers sometimes have a hard time visually. So if you're going to have it furnished, you need to have it furnished neatly, not cluttered, not a lot of stuff on the countertops, and your pictures and all done, very minimally. If it's going to be vacant and that's the best way, that's fine, because the one thing I also know after 27 years of real estate is there is no one answer that fits the complete population of the world. So some people would rather see the home furnished, others would rather see it vacant. Whichever way you're going to go, just have it in the best condition you can and staged appropriately based on which way you have the home prepared for sale. So that's how I wanted to start out with the comments. And at this point in time, I want to turn it over to Lynn, and excited to hear the comments that she has and the tips that she'll be giving us today. So thank you, Lynn, for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Diane, and Team Honeycutt for this opportunity to speak with y'all today about some of my favorite things, which is home staging and design. Today, I'm going to give you 10 simple tips to prepare your home for sale, and I want to add that any statistics and information that I may give, that comes from the Real Estate Staging Association and the Certified Staging Professionals International. So, next slide, please. Okay. What is staging, and why do sellers need a home staging professional? Staging is preparing your home for sale before it goes on the market. It is about the condition of your home. It's not decorating. It is about the condition. It's more than just fluffing pillows and decorating and packing away personal items. It's rearranging, refreshing, and reducing to sell the space and not the stuff within your house. As a seller, you may say, I have a good eye for decorating. Why do I need a stager? Well, the answer to that is home stagers, especially certified home stager, knows how to look at a home and create a space to appeal to a broad range of buyers. So we also keep the seller and the buyer in mind. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. First impressions do count, as Diane said earlier. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So I love this car analogy. When you go to sell your car, you wash it, you clean it, you vacuum it, you get all the trash out, you detail it, because you want to get the most money out of it that you can. So why would you not do the same thing for your home, which is one of your biggest assets and investment? So,
and Lynn, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to add little small things that you can do. I know from showing homes, if we've been out looking at 5 to 10 homes in a day and you get to the 6th home and on the counter in the kitchen they left bottles of water and a little basket of snacks and crackers and says, welcome to my home, please take one. That's such a small thing, but it certainly makes an impression on a potential buyer, as well as the whole fresh baked cookies. That's not always quite as easy to do, but water on the counter and a snack or some nice little note welcoming people to their home really does make a good impression as well.
It does make a difference, and it's very inviting, and the buyer will remember that house. When they're thinking
Right.
over their list of houses that they've seen that day, they'll remember that house because that seller went the extra mile. And that's, what staging is it's kind of going the extra mile. And by staging and detailing your home, you'll get on the buyer's must-see list because most of the buyers 91% of buyers begin their search on the internet. And so you want to do whatever you can to make your home stand out and catch the buyer's eye. So first impressions really do count. Okay, next slide, please. So if 91% of buyers start their search on the internet, 74% of prospective buyers drive by your house before they view it. So if they've seen it on the internet and it's on their must-see list, 74% is going to drive by your house. They make decisions within seconds. So they need to see a clean yard. They need to see the lawn mowed. If you have trees and bushes, trim those up to make sure that they can see your house clearly from the street. And also, when you're thinking of curb appeal, include the backyard when you're preparing your house for sale. Make sure to clean and enhance the outdoor space so when the potential buyer sees it, they can envision themselves, grilling out with friends or playing with the kids or playing with their dog and being in the space. And also, the outdoor living amenities can increase dollars to your bottom line. So don't forget the backyard.
And the flowers here in this just make the world of difference. It certainly makes it feel a little more like home when you see it.
It does. It's inviting. And that wasn't a whole lot, they didn't do a whole lot of extra to this house. They just planted some flowers, but it's much more inviting, and it does catch your eye. Okay. And the next slide is about declutter, declutter, declutter. You definitely want to organize your space, and this is one of the single most important things you can do in your home. Pack away at least 2/3 of every closet, pantry, and bookshelf. Homeowners frequently request to see an organized space because they want adequate storage, and they will look in your cabinets. They will look in your pantries. They will look in drawers. They are going to check out your house, so don't throw everything in a closet, think they're not going to see it. They will see it. So also, it is a good idea to pack away photos, certificates, and degrees, and collections that you may have in a room. They want to see the room and not what you have done, like your vacations and pictures like that. They want to see the positive attributes of the room. And so you can see in this picture what a difference that makes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think in this photo you can see that people still have items in their closet. You don't have to take everything out, but it's just nicely organized. And part of that is able to show, like you're saying, Lynn, potential buyers that, hey, there's a lot of belongings that will fit in this closet, but it's in an organized fashion, which will give the impression, that there's plenty of storage space. When you see it the way on before, people go, oh, they don't have enough storage.
And I say, if you're not going to use it, go ahead and pack it away. If you know you are moving, if you know this is not something you're going to use, pack it away. And if in doubt, take it out. That's kind of how I feel about it. If in doubt, take it out. So declutter and organize. Okay, next slide.
Good hint to remember.
Okay, lighting is key. Turn on the lights for showing if possible, and don't forget the outside lights as well. Remember, people will be driving by your house, and they don't always drive during the day. So it's a good idea to illuminate your house and so people can see it from the street. Also, clean your lights and replace bulbs as needed. Clean your fixtures, that makes them shine. If you have light bulbs with no globes, go ahead and put some globes on those lights and just make it look nice, neat, and clean. And sometimes it's not always possible to turn on your lights before a showing. That's okay. Open those windows up so hopefully, some natural light will come in. And you can see the difference in those two rooms, with the lights on and not.
Natural light. If your home is on the market when you leave in the mornings, you just need to open up all your blinds and curtains so that in case you do have a showing and can't be home, you at least got the natural light in there.
Exactly.
And most realtors, when they show, are going to try to go throughout the home and turn the lights on for their clients, but the natural light certainly helps until they get to that point.
Right, it does. Okay, and the next one is about the windows. You said open the blinds. Yeah, clean your windows. That reflects a clean house, and people remember that, and they feel good walking into a clean house. It lightens and brightens the house up. And if you can afford a professional cleaning, it is definitely worth the money to clean all the windows. They're all clean at one time. They look good. It lets the light in. And so if you can't turn on the lights, then that natural light will show through. And also, if you have heavy window treatments, it's a good idea to maybe take those down. Go ahead and pack those away, because that does block some of the natural light if you have real heavy window treatments. Okay, next slide. Okay, kitchen and baths. Typical buyers will forgo other must-haves for updated kitchen and baths. That is the kitchen is the single most important room, and the bathroom is the second most important space. Be sure to clean these spaces so they shine. And if you're going to invest or change anything, these two rooms are a good idea to start with. They're great places to start. Okay. The air you breathe. Consider odors and allergens and cleaning products when you're preparing your home for showing. It's a good idea to, I suggest a clean air machine because it neutralizes the space. I think it's a good thing because if you have pets, you live with the pets, you don't always smell the smell, but a clean air machine will neutralize your space, and that won't stand out when you're showing your house. Also, on the other hand, be aware of cleaning products and their odors, like good or bad. If you want the potential buyer to pleasantly remember the house and not the smell. Okay. The bedrooms. Typical potential buyers cannot visualize a complete room within seconds. When someone is showing a home, they walk in a room, look at it, and leave. They cannot visualize rearranging furniture, coloring of the walls, and carpet. It's a quick second. So the best thing you can do is neutralize that space, make it gender neutral, and paint if you need it. Sometimes if you have a pink room or red room or a real strong color, buyers cannot make that mental shift. They just can't do that within those seconds. So don't risk losing the sale of your home because of the colors in your house. Let's look at that next slide. Okay, there's a before and after. You can see what a difference that makes. It really just lightens up that room with the neutral paint on the walls.
And I will have to give the realtor side of this as well. I agree with what Lynn's saying, but goes back to the first slide where we were talking about the fact that these are our homes and we do still live in them. So sometimes it's really hard, especially if you've got children who are already emotional about a move, and then you kind of take their bedroom away from them before you have to. So sometimes you just have to make some tough choices. And you might luck up and get somebody who comes in with a little guy who would love this room as it is before, and that could be a selling point. So it goes back to there is no right answer for every client out there, and so you have to make some choices. You may be able to do 4 of these tips and not 5 or 6. So you listen to them and you make the best choices for you and your family at that time.
That's exactly right. And, when I'm working with people, every house is different. So you take that house in consideration. So if you'll go to the next slide, we'll kind of talk about that. That leads into the next slide. Walk through the home with the eyes of a buyer, because be objective. You're selling your house and moving, and it's best to emotionally disconnect and look at your house objectively and try to see it through buyer's eyes. You want them to emotionally connect to your house so it will sell, and that's why we suggest you move as many personal items as possible so they can see the positive aspects of the house and connect to it. But sometimes it's not feasible. Sometimes, like you said, Diane, you need to keep that room for the child. So you just have to look at houses on a house-by-house basis.
You do. And one of the most interesting things, those of you who have children and you measure them, on the wall as they grow, when you go into those, it's always fun to see. But when they're in the kitchen, that's one thing. When a lot of times, though, they're inside of a closet. Well, inside of a closet, I wouldn't necessarily worry about that, unless you were just painting the closets at that time, unless it was huge. So in the dining room, you might need to, paint over that because that's a little bit different.
That's right. Right. So, and like I said, you take it house by house and see what works best for that house as a stager. That's what I would do. But you are selling the house, so you want to be as objective as you can and as proactive as you can. So you can have, if you want to go ahead, you can have inspections done before closing. You typically do this. If you want to be real proactive, you can have the inspection done and address some of the needs before they arrive in negotiations with your buyers. That's a good idea. And be realistic. Every home is unique and different, and it's best not to compare your home to others, even in the same neighborhood. And that's hard because if you look at your neighbor's house, you say, well, they sold it for that or they did this. It's best to look at your house and be objective for what it is. So having your home staged is a proven process that creates equity, and you can work with your home stager or your listing agent team, Honeycutt, and we can help you create lasting impressions for your buyers, because that's what you want to do. You want them to walk in and see the house as attractively and clean and neat as it can be, and you want to make an impression on them so they'll remember. Okay?
Absolutely. All good information.
Cool.
So
we actually, Diane and Lynn, we actually have some great questions sitting here. JJ from Mint Hill, he's asking about whether or not, if he's going to go the staging route, if you bring in the furniture or if you use the client's furniture when you stage a home.
That's a great question. It really depends, like I said, on house by house. If you have the furniture, that's great. Or if you have a room that's not furnished that you want to furnish, you can always rent furniture, and your stager will help you do that. So there are ways to get your furniture into the house. Or, if you have furniture that's been sitting there a while and you need to move it, we can always work with that. So yes, you can use what you have or you can rent.
And this question's for you, Diane, on the realtor side and the pricing side of things. Susan from Charlotte, she's asking about whether or not staging a home, having a home professionally staged. I know that you and I have talked about, maybe just decluttering, maybe a deep clean, but really professionally staging a home. Have you seen that affect the not just the listing price, but the final sales price?
Well, I think where it comes into play is it can affect your market time more than anything. Because when the appraiser comes in, they're not going to appraise the home based on how it's staged. They're going to be looking less emotional at the home when they come in to do that for the bank. But where you're going to get your bang for your buck out of having it staged properly, and a lot of the things that Lynn's talked about here today, is through the type of offer that you get, as well as market time. So if somebody comes in and they just fall in love with it and get that emotional connection, they are likely to make a better offer the first time and be willing to pay more for the home, and you may possibly even be in a multiple offer situation if you're in that $250 and under price point at this time.
Cool. Another good question here from Doug. He's asking, how long typically does it take, Lynn, if you were to come in to get a home staged, and if you do it yourself or you just have the client do it, or how does that work?
Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about how I work, I use a 3-step process. I will come in and consult with you, look at your home, look at your space, hear your needs and what you're wanting, and then we will get a plan together as to how to prepare your home for staging. During that time, that could be painting or what have you, just to get it prepared. And then the third stage would be I would come in and stage your home, and typically I could get it done in a day. Depends on the size of the house and what you're wanting. Typically it can be done in a day because I will have everything prepared and ready to go.
Okay. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Any closing thoughts, guys, on this? Anything that if somebody were thinking about putting their home on the market in the next 6 months, that they could go ahead and start doing, even if it's not listed yet, but they may be thinking about it? Anything from you guys to close things out?
Well, I would say the springtime is coming up, and that's where a lot of people think it's time to sell. So it's a great time to spruce up your landscaping and your exterior of the home, because that is where the first impression starts. I mean, I have taken people and driven up to the home, started in the drive, and the people said, no, I don't want to see this. And then we have to call the appointment center and cancel the showings, which you always hate to do. So I would say start now. It's a great time to get the home pressure washed and take care of the landscaping and all. And while you're doing that on the outside, begin to clean out the closets and some of the basic things that anybody can do. Some of the cosmetic things, and you're going to have to make those decisions as whether you want to go that route or not. But I think it's just doing what Lynn said, walking through and looking at the house through the eyes of the buyer, coming up with your 3 or 4 step plan of how you're going to accomplish that, and start on it now and be ready for that spring market.
Lynn, any closing thoughts
agree.
on that?
I do. I agree with that. Go ahead and do what you can do, and then as a stager, I would come in and look at your house objectively. You have emotional ties to your home, so go ahead, do what you can do. And as a stager, I would come in, look at it objectively, and we will come up with a plan together. Also, I just want to throw in that homeowners want to see move-in ready homes. They want to know, when I go in and stage a home, buyers come in and they can see themselves living in that home. They will know how the furniture's placed, or they'll know, how they can live there. And I think that's real important. I can stage vacant homes or occupied homes, either one. But it just helps to show buyers, what they're getting and how they will live there and function. Because today's buyers, they want to come in, move in, and have a cookout the next day. So they want everything move-in ready. So we can, Team Honeycutt and South House can definitely help you get prepared.
And we are here and ready, so give us a call.
Great. And I just want to thank Lynn and Diane for being here. I'm just going to show you guys 2 other slides just for some contact information to get in touch with Diane. It's a simple email, team.honeycutt@allentate.com. To get in touch with Lynn, it's lguffey@southhousestaging.com. Again, I want to thank both of you guys. You were great information, and thanks to everybody that showed up for the webinar. You'll be getting an email with the recording on this webinar, and hopefully if you have any other questions, you reach out to Diane and Lynn in the next couple days, and they'll be able to help you. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you.